you want to be successful in real estate, you have two shifts. You really got to master that 8 to 12.
I mean, I think going into real estate, it's different than a lot of other fields because fields that most salespeople are in.
Welcome to the first episode of Mic Drop. I'm here today with the one and only Christian Davis.
What's up, guys?
So Christian, why don't you start off and tell everyone what made you get into real estate?
Man, I'll be honest, what got me into real estate, met you, to be honest. I just got out the Marine Corps, and I was working two jobs. I was working as a bar back at a local restaurant in Northern Virginia, and I was also working as a front desk concierge at a big time gym at a Lifetime. And I was also in school, and I was doing all that because I wanted to make my family proud. I wanted to make my mom proud. And I met you at the gym. I was working out, and I saw you. I saw how your wife looked at you. I was like, you know what? I don't have a lot of money, but I've watched enough Disney in my life that I know that what's going to solve it is love. And if I can get a woman that looks at me the way that, you know, your wife looks at you, then I'm going to be solved. I'm going to be fixed. So I asked you how much you made. You told me. I told you I'd quit my entire life and work for you.
So what were some of the challenges that you faced when you first got into real estate? Because I'm sure a lot of new agents out there wondering, what's it like going into real estate?
Well, I mean, I think going into real estate, it's different than a lot of other fields because a lot of the fields that most salespeople are in, it's B2B, so they're using LinkedIn a lot. They're using different social media modalities to connect with their consumers. And we are B2C. We are straight up business to consumer. We are reaching out to customers directly. It's a lot of phone work, a lot of outbound prospecting. And one of the biggest challenges that I faced, and I'm sure that a lot of people face, is not knowing what to say, how to say it, when to say it, and not knowing what I didn't know. And the rejection that you experience can be sadistic to a point, man. I mean, you know, people hanging up on you 8 hours a day and telling you to F off, you don't know anything, you're a con man, you're this, you're that, you're this, and just trusting the process that everything's going to be okay and like not giving up. That's the hardest part, man. Most people give up before they get to the goal.
So what did you do, I guess, from a mindset standpoint at the beginning to have to go in and take the rejection it takes to obviously develop the skills? How did you handle that?
Well, I think it's different for everybody, but I think something that worked for me, and I think it would work for other people, is I created an enemy. And the enemy that I created at the time was proving my family that I could do it. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, dropping out of school, getting into real estate, a lot of my people in my family didn't support it. I believe the only person that really supported it, at least initially, was my mom. But even with my mom, she was like, hey, baby, like, you have 6 months to really figure this out. And if you don't figure this out, then I would recommend you go back to school. Like, and it wasn't like, if you can't do it, like, you suck. It was like, you know, I support you, but you really have 6 months to figure it out. And isn't it funny that I was able to sell my first house 5 months, 3 weeks into the business? Like, you know what I mean? It was crazy like that. But I mean, just creating an enemy and wanting to prove somebody wrong. The first couple of years, I would say the first 5 years of my career really is what got me up in the morning. Just wanting to prove everybody that ever doubted me wrong because it was just, I just resented it. And the truth is looking back at it, they didn't even think of me. But that's what worked for me. That's what worked for me. They didn't care if I succeeded or they didn't. And today, even in my success, by the grace of God, like, they don't care still.
Right.
But I'm able to take care of people as a result of that. But the mindset shifted over time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people there's really 3 parts to success. Number 1 is that you have to believe that it's possible. Number 2 is that you have to believe that you personally can do it. And number 3 is you actually get to a point where you say, you know what, I have actually become that person. I'm now worth it. So I'm curious, at what point for you in your career did you start to realize, you know what, I can do this?
To be honest with you, man, it ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I wake up in the morning, like.
So you're still in that process
Yeah,
potentially.
I mean, no, if you put me in front of a listing presentation, you put me in front of a seller, I have an alter ego that takes over, that I've constructed over time, that's able to connect with anybody at the deepest levels, that's able to handle any objection they may give and any condition they may present. I don't just find a way, I create a way. But I think, one of the things you taught me early on is to always start at zero. So when I start at zero, there's always the doubt, like, can I do it again today? So I have to control what I can control, which is the amount of calls that I make, the amount of people that I talk to, and the energy that I present to the world. And when I say energy, I mean coming from a place of love, coming from a place of capital T truth, like we're blessed to be alive, and coming from a place of service where it's like, I know if I take care of somebody, then God, the universe, whatever the audience subscribes to, for me it's God, it's like I'm going to be taken care of because I'm taking care of somebody else.
Absolutely.
And I believe that for a fact.
Absolutely. So just so everyone knows, tell people today, what kind of production will you do in the calendar year 2024?
Probably I'm at 25 million right now, closing pending. I'll probably am closer to 55, 60 for the second half of the year.
So what would that be in
In
transactions?
transactions?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a good chance at getting 100. It'll probably end up between like 80 to 90.
So I guess at this stage of your career, what motivates you? Because obviously to get to 80, 90, 100 deals, what drives you every single day to get out of bed at this stage? Because, at every stage of life, you'll realize different things have to get you out of bed, because what got you out of bed at the beginning of your career is completely different in the middle of your career.
That's a great question. I think for me today, and it changes, but I think for me today, I mentioned earlier, like the resentment and proving people wrong. I realized that was a very low density energy. It's just not a good way, sustainable way. It's like instead of getting 8 hours of sleep, I'm fueling myself off of Red Bull and 5-hour energy. It's like it's not sustainable. I think today, man, it's like, my mom's with God now. So I think for me, I want to do good. I want to do good. I don't want to be outstanding or anything like that, because that requires external validation. And it's like, that's not going to fix anything. For me, it's more so like, I want to do the best that I can every single day, because my family, and my mom specifically, sacrificed so much coming from Puerto Rico to America, being, one of 3 women in an organization of 1,000 people, to give me and my younger brother an opportunity to have a life in America. And I think that if I don't wake up in the morning, number one, my wife is going to be like punished for my inability to get up, and that she didn't sign up for that. And my family, who depends on me, is going to be punished. So it's like, I don't do it because I need to prove anybody wrong anymore. I've already proved to myself that I'm enough, and me just existing is enough. I don't take up space. I get to create space for people to grow and stuff. I think that for me specifically, the reason I get up every day is because I get to, not because I have to, I get to. And I get to embrace conflict. I get to work my courage muscle in having hard conversations. I get to remind people that even if what they want isn't happening, that everything's going to be okay. And those are hard conversations. And ironically, at the end of those hard conversations, I get to be paid for it. But it's funny, man, like, I used to be focused on the money. Now I don't even think about it. It just magically appears in the bank account after doing what you've told me to do so many years, and just embodying that and just becoming that person, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think so many today, they want, like, I want to make 300, 400, 500,000. But what they fail to realize is that if you want that, you have to become the kind of person that can make that much money. You have to adopt the habits, the strategies, the skills of the agents that do that. So give people out there an idea of kind of what your morning schedule looks like, because I've always told people that one of the most important parts of being a successful real estate agent is to make sure that you have an airtight morning schedule before you even get on the phone. So what would a good morning schedule look like for you?
So, you taught me this, and I've heard this on the internet space, but breaking my day up into 2 days, right? Because if I you work 5-6 days a week, but you times that by 2, I get to work 2 months in the span of a month. So it's 5 to 12 is the first day, and then 12 to 6 or 7 is the second day.
Okay.
And 5 to really 7:30 is taking care of myself. Drinking from the fountain of self-care. That's working out. That's meditating. That's getting a good healthy breakfast in. That's like making sure that I'm good internally, making sure that I'm clear for the day, not just randomly just meandering through life, hoping that everything's going to work out. Getting on the phones, 8 to 9 lead generation, 9 to 10, or 9 to, 11, like lead follow-up, 11 to 12 reaching out to past clients, 12 to 1 is going to be doing like admin check-in, making sure every deal that is falling through, we have a solution to plug up the ship before it sinks. And then if there's outstanding stuff after that, that might take a little bit longer. But between 1 to 6, either I'm going on appointments, I'm taking listings, or 1 to 6, I'm on the phone setting up appointments, setting up appointments and doing listing follow-ups and doing all that other stuff. I mean, it's important that every single hour is maximized, because we only have so much time. We have only so much time. There's so many people, I imagine, are trying to get the business that I believe I can serve better than anybody else in the country, and I'm not going to let them do it. And the reason why I'm not going to let them do it is because they don't deserve it. I do.
Right.
Respectfully.
No, I understand. I tell people so much that, if you want to be successful in real estate, you have 2 shifts. You really got to master that 8 to 12 admin in the middle, that 12 to 2, and then you got to master the 2 to 6 or the 2 to 7. I think the 2 to 6 or the 2 to 7 is probably the period of time where most real estate agents waste the majority of their time. For a lot of people, it's easy to do a morning schedule. Time they get to the afternoon, it's exhausting. So how hard was it for you to learn to not only work the morning shift, but to actually put the same energy in the second half of the day as you did the first?
Well, I think to this day, if I have 70 to 75% of the energy in the second half in the first half of the day, I think I chop it up to a win. Because it's hard, man. It's stressful. There's a lot of pressure that I choose to embrace in order to do what I'm asked, not just by you, but by the clients that hire us and by the agents on the team. I think it's not easy. I think taking care of my body and taking care of my diet and putting my sleep first, I think, is important. But I think the most important thing is developing the muscle to say no. No to myself when I want to be distracted, and no to things that aren't income generating activities, like the 4 things, like lead generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating contracts. Like, that's, if 80% of my day isn't revolving around those things, then I'm doing a disservice to my bloodline and to my family and to the people that depend on me to show up every single day to perform.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. So tell me something. What does the next 3 to 5 years look like for Christian Davis?
What's the next 3 to 5 years look for me? Well, I definitely want to help you build the team from 250 to 1,000 over the next 5 years. I think that would be wonderful. I would definitely like to help you do anything that you need in order to help as many people as possible to just create good change for a lot of people. I think that one of the things that I respect about you is that you don't really take shortcuts. And I was taught in the military, in the Marine Corps, that how you do anything is how you do everything, and you don't got to get ready if you stay ready. So it's like, you are the living embodiment of everything that you tell people to do. And I just want to be a good reflection of the time that you've spent on me this previous decade to get to this point. And I know I haven't been the easiest person to coach. I'm hard-headed. But I mean, for me, and I just want to do good the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, the money's going to come. I'm not worried about the money, but really just give people the setting to become the best version of themselves, man or woman, whatever. Like, I want them to feel, I want them to be able to get over whatever limiting beliefs that they have, so that way they can take care of themselves, take care of their family, and then they can teach the same lessons that Mike taught me to other people. So that way, God forbid something happens to me or to Mike, which will, because that's a guarantee. You know what I mean? Like, we will go to God again. That it wasn't a waste. That it wasn't wasted on hedonistic bullshit that serves no purpose. It's like, I want to teach people to be good people that lead from their heart, that don't cut corners, that have attention to detail and trust the process. That's something that I'm really excited for the next 3 to 5 years.
I appreciate that. So let me ask you, if you could give 3, 4 pieces of advice to agents out there, we're in 2024 right now, it's the middle of the year. What do you think an agent in the next 6 months has to do to make sure they finish the year strong, and obviously build to make sure they have a great foundation for 2025?
Okay. That's a great question. I think the first thing that came to my brain was the stuff that you're avoiding to do is your heart telling you that's what you need to do. The stuff that you're avoiding doing, making that call, having that conversation, that difficult conversation, regardless whether it's business or it's personal.
How do you deal with that? I mean, we all go through periods where we need to make a phone call to a client, prospect, angry seller, mad buyer. What do you do in those moments when you don't want to do it, but you know you need to? Because I think everybody in real estate knows the feeling of having a call they don't want to make, but they know that they're going to have to make it. What do you do in those moments?
So right now it's like second nature, but when it first happened, it would be like, oh my God, like, what if they fire me? Or what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? And then, after you do it long enough, it's like, okay, let's say they fired me. Why'd they fire me? Did I drop the ball? Mm-hmm. Did I drop the ball? If I dropped the ball, okay, fire me. I deserve to be fired. Mm-hmm. But if I did everything that I promised I was going to do, right? If I got you an offer, and for whatever reason the buyer voids out, not because of anything that the seller or I could control, it's my responsibility to tell them the truth. Like, hey, and this is the truth. It's like, yo, the buyer's voiding out. Here's why. Here's what we did to prevent it. It didn't work. And I'm going to find you another buyer, because that's what you're paying me for.
Right.
And at the end of that conversation, are they going to be pissed? Sure. But are they pissed at me? No, they're not. They're disappointed that life didn't work out the way that they wanted to. And the truth is I've realized over time that if life worked out the way that I wanted, I wouldn't be able to be sitting in this chair today having this conversation with you. Mm-hmm. I would have a much easier life, and I wouldn't be a better person. I'm very grateful when life doesn't happen the way that I want it to. It happens the way that it needs to, and I believe that there's a plan, and it is the will of God to make me better, not make my life easier. Because if I become better than the life of my people that I've been divinely put in place to provide for, their life gets to be easy. That's what's important to me. So I think that's really what gets me through it, man. I mean, they're paying me to have a hard conversation, so I'm just going to have a hard conversation. But before I do that, I have to trust in my heart, man, in my brain. I have to know that everything's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I have to be able to have I have to internalize it, because if I don't, the call's going to go bad.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people, in any sales situation, the most important person you need to influence first is yourself. If you think the call is going to be a shitty, bad call, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be a shitty, bad call. Who you take into the call is normally how the call goes. So I guess for you, if you were to talk to any agent right now and you were to say, look, if I could go back in time to my very first couple days in real estate, what is 2 pieces of advice that you would give yourself on day one, knowing what you know now?
The first thing is that everything's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
First thing. Because a lot of agents get into the business because they're either stressed financially, they have low self-esteem, they have a superiority complex with a very highly inflated ego, and they're not living in truth. And I would just tell myself, I'm like, dude, everything's going to be okay. You have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about. You know, most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. And I think that that's true. It's just like daily compound things. There's no silver bullet that's going to make you a millionaire, that's going to make you a top producing agent. There's no silver bullet. But what I can promise you is that there's 100 different gold pellets that put together time over time, it's going to be much more valuable than any bullshit silver bullet somebody's ever going to try and sell you. And that's the point. It's like the small intentional actions coming from a good place, coming from a place of faith and not coming from a place of fear, that's really going to help develop that person over time to be somebody that when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't resent who I see. I'm actually grateful that I'm alive, and I'm grateful I've been able to do this.
No, I couldn't agree more. I always tell people, you know, if you actually look back at your career over the course of it, you'll notice that literally you will always, always, always overestimate what you think you can do in a month, in a quarter, in a year, and you significantly, significantly underestimate what you could do in a decade. When I think back to the beginning of real estate and what I thought I could do right away versus what I accomplished over 2 decades, I mean, I never in a million years thought that I would be able to get to where I'm at now. So Christian, I appreciate you coming out on Mic Drop and dropping some bombs. Stay tuned for future episodes of Mic Drop.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you.